10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's start the show.
Right now we are sitting down with my favorite Arkansas State University running back. We have a guy who's fought on Dana White's Contender Series, a guy who's a big-time name in MMA. We have a former Mr. Money in the Bank from WrestleMania 23, former WWE United States champion, a former two-time TNA heavyweight champion, Mr. This guy directed Batman Heart of Ice on YouTube, an amazing fan film. Someone who was in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the Ultimate Fighter at one point. Helped run and promote Championship Wrestling of Arkansas for the little bit of time that it was around, as well as a professional wrestler from the early 90s. The guy is running Street Beefs Dirty South, a professional MMA fighter, and looking to make a debut sometime in the near future in bare knuckle boxing. We're the one and only Jason Voorhees, Mr. James Stokes himself. How's it going, James? Good to see you again.
You are now experiencing the Adam Talks Podcast Season 2.
Welcome back to another great episode of the Adam Talks Podcast, right here on whatever platform it is you're watching or listening to us on. My name's Adam, and today we're going to have a lot of fun. Season 2 has been great so far. I just want to say that. Thank you to all the guests that have come on so far, and all the future guests that have signed on to come on. I am super stoked, super excited about this season, what we got planned coming up. It's going to be great, and this week is no exception. But before we get into today's guest, can I just ask you to do one thing? It's the same thing I ask at the beginning of every single episode, and it's something so simple, so easy. I mean, anybody could do it. My 8-year-old daughter could do it. A 5-year-old could do it. Anybody could do it. If you're on YouTube, push that subscribe button. And if you're on one of the other streaming platforms, that is Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts, can you hit that follow button? Guys, if you're so inclined to leave a comment, let us know what you think about the show and how it's going. If you're a listener and have been for a little while, drop a comment and let us know what you think so far and how you think the show has been. Guys, I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that do this. It means the world to me. But today we have an awesome guest. He comes from the East Coast professional wrestling scene. He is a guy that has been up and down the East Coast, all over. And he's just a really cool dude. We're talking to Gigolo, Josh Valon. The guy has made his name in the east, like I said, the eastern side of the United States. And I can't wait to let you hear this conversation. It's a lot of fun. The guy's been around for a little while, and he's a pretty young dude as well. So without any further ado, here is my conversation with Gigolo, Josh Valon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another great episode of the Adam Talks Podcast. Right now, we have an awesome guest. We have a guy who is known mostly on the East Coast for wrestling. This guy is known as the Gigolo, Josh Valon. How's it going, man?
I'm great. It's great to be here. I'm glad you could have me. It's wonderful to be had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Well, we were talking like literally just a couple seconds ago before we started this about how you even came to the show, because normally I'm reaching out to people, but you actually reached out to me, man. So how did it all come about for you to find out about the show and get on here today?
So there's a guy who works for the AIWF, which is like a governing body of independent professional wrestling, named Matt Classic, and he had made a post asking everybody to tag their favorite wrestling podcasts or whatever, and I happened to stumble across it. And you guys were one of those podcasts tagged in the comments there.
Right on, man. Well, we're sure happy to have you, man. How long have you been wrestling, man?
So it'll be 18 years in this September. Since I started training, I had my first match when I was like 13 in like the summer of the right after I turned 13. So I've been running and gunning for a long time, and that's like 17, 18 years of like constantly like working. Even when I was like in my worst place, like personally in my personal life, I was still doing like 1-2 shows a month or whatever. So it's just something I've always done.
Right on, man. Right on. Where did the love for wrestling come from?
I said, this is a funny story. When I was a kid, my dad took me to the Roanoke Civic Center to a SmackDown taping. And it happened to be the night that, you remember John Cena had the U.S. spinner belt gimmick? He had lost it to Orlando Jordan, and JBL blew it up in the trash can. He had the big big red Acme button or whatever. I guess, can I cuss? I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. No, you're good. You're fine. Yeah.
So anyways, he had, the big button and blew it up, and then Cena came out with the lead pipe and, cuts his promo, and I was hooked from, like, that point forward.
Right on, man.
I got lucky being located here in Virginia. There was a training school not, within an hour from my house in Shawsville, Virginia. WB Hall of Famer, the Boogie Woogie Man, Handsome Jimmy Valiant, has had the school in Shawsville since, like, 1992. So I happened to go through there at a time when it was still, I don't want to say a legitimate school, but it carried a little more when there. At the time I went through, it carried a little more weight than it does now. It's a little more family friendly now than how it used to be. And these guys hated me because I was a kid. I was a big kid. I was the size of most of the adults, but they stretched me. They beat me up. It was a long learning process. It took me probably about a year, maybe 8 months to a year to learn how to bump properly. I was a slow learner or whatever. I never thought I'm amazed that I'm here today. I never thought that, back then that I would make it this far.
Yeah, man.
So I got lucky. They trained me pretty old school. Which gave me a lot of respect for the business and a lot of understanding for what goes into it. And then I started, there's a fellow from Thomasville, North Carolina, named Matt Houston. When I was about 13, I reached out to him on MySpace. That tells you how long ago it was. We had
just a little bit ago, a couple of years ago.
Right, yeah. Social media wasn't even really a thing. Like, we had MySpace, but most of these indie shows were advertising with posters in the town. Like, it's a lot. You couldn't just go on Facebook and find a million indie promotions all over the country to go work for. It was a little bit harder then. So I ended up going down there for him, and he ran, maybe once or twice a month. Him and George South had a little deal down there, and they gave me my first actual break. And then I started working shows in like Lexington, Knoxville, North Carolina area. We have an athletic commission here in Virginia, and so you have to be 18, you have to have a license, a bunch of red tape. So I started doing that with those guys, and just bounced around to the different indies in Carolina. There's no athletic commission down there, so it's a million indies going on, and just kind of networked. And I just I eventually just kept at it, and I got to do I got to the point where I was working maybe every other weekend, and I'm having to get my dad to drive me. I'm having to get rides from people. I'm not old enough to drive a car at this point. I'm going to like Southern Pines, so I'm 3 or 4 hours away from home with the guys, or just however I can get there, And it was a lot of a different environment then. Like, you just had the WB. That was the only place you were going to make money. There was TNA. They were coming along. The NWA was still around, but it was just a bunch of indie promotions basically at this point, using the title or whatever. It really wasn't. There wasn't a lot of money in the indies then, and it was really actually a downtime for pro wrestling. It goes through booms, highs and lows, peaks and valleys, and this time it was a downtime for pro wrestling. It wasn't a good time. And then I'm going up to Charlottesville at this time. I'm still training. When I was about 16, they made me an instructor there, so I didn't have to pay to go to the training school anymore. I could go, and actually I was helping train people and stuff, and I learned more helping train people than I feel like I did actually going through the original training that I had. And then the boys trained me, the road trained me. Where the only way I tell people this all the time, you can go to wrestling school for 10 years if you want to, but until you get out there in front of a crowd and try this stuff, you're never going to learn, because that's the only way to do it, is to go out there and you're either going to sink or swim.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You know, I've only had 6 professional matches under my belt right now as of this point, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
but there's different reasons that I'm really just not going to get into on this episode right now. But I've only had a very few amount of matches, but there is no feeling replacing. There's no feeling like stepping out in front of a crowd, whether you're the good guy or the bad guy. You know what I mean? Because you know you can get them to boo you, and it's like, oh, this is it. This is the drug I've been waiting for. Or you can get them to
Yeah.
cheer for you and feel that adoration and just be like, wow, they love me. You know, it's one or the other, and it's just great either way. But I wrestled in a backyard wrestling promotion that I ran for, I don't know, I want to say like 10 years or something, and we didn't ever have a crowd or anything. We never had anybody watching us. So I got 2022. I got to get in front of my first ever crowd, and it was just adrenaline. So I completely agree with you, man. You just never know until you're in front of the crowd for that very first time, and then every time after it, it's the same feeling. Um, I know, I know through talking to several professional wrestlers, there's a lots of ups and downs in the business, and I've experienced my share of ups and downs. As far as you know, just going through things in your personal life or whatever, man. And I've had a lot of help with my struggles that I've had, and they haven't been super big or bad or anything. But without without those people around me, that support system, I don't know where I'd be. Have you ever had moments that were like really hard for you in your personal life that kind of bled through to your professional life?
Yeah, I definitely, from the time I was about 15 to, I'd say 19 or 20, I've struggled with opioid dependency. I was addicted to prescription pain pills, which just came about, back problems and stuff like that. I torn an ACL, and so like I struggled with that for a long, long time, and it never. Eventually, I got on Suboxone, and through Suboxone and marijuana, I was able to finally overcome that. And I think that held me back a lot. If I hadn't have had that period of where I was just kind of in limbo or whatever, then I think I would be a lot further in my career now than I would be. I'm making up for lost time at this point. I feel like. And that was very hard, and back then they were more readily available. It was a lot easier, and it wasn't even so much I was a lot of people like to put the heat on the business, but it wasn't even. I was actually getting them at my high school. It wasn't even. I very few times that I actually got drugs from the boys. Most of that was it was like through my high school and shit. But that, I think it was just the kind of culture and the environment that we were in. But ultimately, I overcame that, and with that came some legal trouble. I did a little bit of time in jail, and you'd be surprised at how similar jail life is to the wrestling business. I make that joke, that comparison all the time, but in jail and penitentiary, everybody's trying to get over on you, and in the wrestling business, 99% of the people in it are trying to get over on you in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of similarities there.
Hmm. All right, man. How did you deal with all of the struggles and continue to go through this professional wrestling business like you have?
Uh-oh. Just my love for the business, and this is kind of all I had. This is still, all I got. That's why I take it so seriously. Is I never had a plan B. I haven't been to college. I don't have any marketable skills outside of the professional wrestling business. So this is all I got, and I knew, like, I didn't pursue this and buckle down. That you know what I'm saying. I was going to let this opportunity slip away, and so I eventually, I overcome my addictions and stuff like that with the help of, I had to get on Suboxone, and marijuana helped or whatever, and kind of just finding my own recovery. Then I reinvented myself. I'd done a couple other gimmicks, in my career, but I'd started out doing this.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Yeah, we were buffering.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd reinvented myself, and when I did that, I started out doing this fitness guru gimmick, and that kind of morphed into the Gigolo, and the Gigolo is like a hybrid between Playboy Buddy Rose and the exotic Adrian Street. And that I got the high waisted trunks, and I wear the eyeliner and stuff. It's a little flamboyant. And once that really clicked for me, I really found myself there, and that kind of re-sparked my my love for the business. Anyway, so I rediscovered myself. I find this new gimmick, and it starts taking off for me. I'm staying booked. My home promotion here, Pure Pro Wrestling. I have a really good spot there, but I travel a lot. I end up hooking up with these guys. They're a tag team named Amish Country, and they take me on the road with them. And I've been traveling with them now probably for the maybe past year or so, and that's opened a lot of doors for me. 2 weeks ago, I was just on the National Cannabis Convention. I wrestled in Bowie State University in Maryland, and then the next day we wrestled at the National Cannabis Festival. Back in December, we were on Reefermania in Florida. I got to go to Hackettstown, New Jersey with them. All these, these great opportunities have come a lot because, I have this new gimmick, and it's the thing is I found to make money on the indies is right now, if you haven't been on TV, then you need to find a way to make yourself an attraction. And there's not a lot of guys that really have gimmicks anymore. Everybody's like Johnny Kickpads, as I call it. So I learned how to make myself an attraction. I learned that perception is reality, and to try to make myself look like a star on social media. So that's what the people think, and just through this whole process of reinventing myself, it's really done wonders for my mental health and my confidence.
Right on, man. Right on. That's awesome, man. Like I said, I've wrestled 6 matches, all here in Arkansas, and I've had varying opinions, and they've only gotten better as time's gone by, So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
As long as
definitely.
As long as you're continuing to move forward, I don't think it's going to be anything negative, especially like I said, for me anyways, being so young in my career, in the business, I think as long as I keep moving forward, it's going to work out, after I end up making it back to the ring at a more full-time basis, I guess. But
yeah, consistency is the key.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The thing, I guess the thing is basically physical health for me. I've had a lot of breathing problems.
Right.
So, after somebody takes this championship off of me, whoever's man enough to do that, yada yada, promo, so on and so forth. Whoever's able to take the championship off of me after that, I'm going to be stepping away for a little bit to take care of my breathing and stuff, because I have asthma and this and that, and don't want to bore you with too many details. But yeah, as long as I can keep consistent afterwards and continue to do the podcast, I think it's great. I think persistence is key in anything, though, that you're trying to do. Doesn't matter what it is. I think, especially in wrestling, because it's uphill. You're never on a downhill bat. You're never going like, oh, this is too easy, unless you're Kurt Angle or something, it's never too easy. But what was your struggle? What was your walk in pro wrestling like from the beginning to where you've gotten to now? How has it changed? What have you learned? You've got to have learned a ton of different things because, like you said, you've been all over the East Coast.
So this is the main thing. This is the biggest thing I tell guys that are just starting out. Everywhere you go in this business, everywhere you go, somebody's going to tell you the way you ought to be doing things. Everybody's going to have an opinion on how it should be done. And the best way to distinguish whose opinion you should listen to and whose opinion you shouldn't listen to is you look at the person and you think to yourself, how much money have they made off professional wrestling? And how much money have they made the business? And if the answer to either of those questions is 0, then just let whatever they're telling you go in one ear and out the other, because it's worthless at the end of the day. The money and the miles are the only thing in this business that matters. I guess the biggest thing that's changed in me is my psychology. and the way I structure matches and the way I work, and it's just from trial and error of going out there in front of crowds. And I've learned a lot. I've been fortunate in my career to work with a lot of great guys that I was able to learn from out there in the ring, and I'm still learning to this day. I have a match with Ring of Honor's Rhett Titus coming up May 24th. That I'm really excited about.
Oh,
I feel like there's just a lot that I can learn. Yeah, and it's going to be in Danville, Virginia, May 24th. I'm excited about that. There's a lot, because the only way to get better at this is to work with people that are better than you. But I'd say that's the biggest change is the psychology and how I look at the business, and just little things like in today's day and age, if you go out there and do a cool move, they're going to pop for it, whether you're the heel or the face. It's just the way things are today. So I only got like 3 moves that I do because I don't want them to pop for me. I want to get heat. I'll let the babyface do the moves. That's fine. It's not about me getting over, about me getting looking strong. It's about having a good match and telling a good story. I don't care about winning and losing. None of that shit matters to me. The belts don't matter. None of it matters. It's just the money at the end of the night and how many gimmicks I can sell. That's all I'm concerned with. And having a decent match, having a good match, and putting people over. It's not... you got to put your ego to the side. This is a business. We're trying to make money. We're trying to work people. It's not, it's been a lot of stuff going around on Facebook about this. I want to wrestle, but not for $20 or whatever. I seen somebody share this the other day on Facebook. These guys get so caught up on their fee or whatever that they'll miss opportunities, and you really got to learn the value of an opportunity. I'll go and do a show for less than my normal fee if I think it's a good opportunity for me to sell more merch than I normally do, and if I think it's good exposure. So you got to learn to pick and choose your opportunities, and not get so hung up on your fee or what you're charging.
Okay, man. I heard one thing you said in there is you want to tell a good story, and to me, I think that's the most important part of wrestling is the story, because you got 2 separate stories that bleed into one another. The story is whatever your storyline is, or your whoever you're feuding with, or whatever it is you're going after. Your story is that outside of the ring, but you also got the story you're telling in ring, which bleeds into the other. And I think if you're going out there and you're just doing a bunch of spots, you're just doing a bunch of moonsaults, or and I'm not shitting on this match because I thought it was an incredibly funny match when it wasn't supposed to be. At WrestleMania 40, the Usos went against each other, Jimmy and Jay, and it was like the match of 10,000 super kicks. Who's going to fall first? And it doesn't make sense. You want to have a match that's compelling, something that makes the people wanting to see more. You want to have a good story.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get hung up, like you said, in modern day on those moves. What is your opinion on the whole thing, man?
Well, I'm in the South, and I was trained in the traditional Southern style professional wrestling, which is, storytelling, and it's character-based and storytelling. So that's what like I said earlier, I got like 3 moves that I do. That's all you really need in a match. It's 6 moves, 3 for you and 3 for brother. That's all you fucking need. They go off into these long ass, who shot John bullshit sequences that nobody can keep up with, and they just buries everybody else because you go out there and you do all these moves. What's the match after you gonna do? What's the match after that gonna do? If you go out there and do everything that you can possibly do in one night. I'm a big proponent of psychology, and I've been everywhere from New Jersey to Miami, Florida, and that simple Southern wrestling psychology works everywhere you take it.
Man, I couldn't agree more. It's nothing like watching a classic WCW or NWA match, back in the early to mid 90s for WCW for sure. And then anything before that with the NWA, seeing how passionate it was, how much more it felt like it meant to the people in there. It was the way they told their stories. And you don't get that a lot today.
Yeah.
I think WWE is doing a lot better about that. And AEW is still on their spot fest. And I think if they could meet somewhere in the middle, it would probably work out great. But, I think that's where a lot of promotions fall to I don't know. You got either the heavy story or the heavy wrestling, and I've seen a mix of both in
Right.
Arkansas, in the independent scene. For me, I think the most important thing is a story, but you can't have a good story without a good match to go with it. So, what do you think about it, man? I mean, I know I'm kind of rambling, but what are your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm with you on the story. It's so I'm not the most athletic person in the world. So I rely a lot on my character and stuff like that, and the storytelling. And like I said before, the Southern style, the Memphis style, you could take that anywhere in the world. I've done it from all over the East Coast, and it works. The simple storytelling works. You don't have to do all these moves, but I believe professional wrestling is a three-ring circus. You got to have a little bit of everything. You can't just you don't go to the circus and they just have the clowns and that's it. They got the clowns, they got the lion tamers, they got the trapeze artists, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And pro wrestling's very, very similar. And you need that story to, especially like on the independent level, where I'm at here in Virginia, we basically have our own territory that runs pretty much weekly. I mean, Pure Pro runs maybe 3 times a month, 3 weekends a month. So a lot of that, we depend on these stories that we're telling from week to week that help draw people in. That's a big part of what it is down here in the South. And all over the world, the story, the characters, it's all that. It's a little bit of everything.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I mean, as far as the way everything is going today, what is your opinion on the state of Virginia's pro wrestling scene, man?
It's picking up. We have the athletic commission here, so it's a little harder. But we have Pure Pro Wrestling, which is the my home promotion here. There's a couple more companies out on the coast. It's a very healthy scene. I happen to be in Southern Virginia, Southwest Virginia, so right on the Carolina border. So we run a lot of border towns or whatever. And it's a lot more work now than it was 10, 15 years ago. It's a lot more companies. And it's a really good environment. It's a lot of, we got a lot of great guys. We got a lot of great talent here in Virginia. You'd be surprised that the number of indie shows that go on, in a weekend just between Virginia and North Carolina. And I'm all over. I work for several of the big promotions in North Carolina, like Elevation, Pro. They were actually just on the pro wrestling on all the dirt sheets because they're having Trevor Lee's having which is Cameron Grimes.
Yeah.
July 27th, going to have his first match outside of WWE since he his first match since his contract expired or whatever. It's going to be at Elevation. I'll be there. I'm booked on that show, Homecoming, July 27th. But the scene's really healthy here. There's a lot of work. We're real close to Tennessee too. I go out there to School of Morton sometimes and do their TV tapings. It's a lot of work. And for instance, I was in Burlington, North Carolina Sunday. I was in Pelham, North Carolina last Saturday. Burlington Sunday, I sold has a heel. Keep in mind, I sold $200 in merch just has a heel in Burlington Sunday. So the scene's real healthy. If you know what you're doing, there's plenty of money to be made, and that's what I'm in it for. I see a lot of guys that don't bother doing merchandise, or they give their autographs away for free, or they take pictures for free, or whatever. And they're just, this is a business. We're supposed to be doing this to make money. And these guys don't think about it. When you're giving that autograph away for free, it devalues you, but it also hurts me, the guy who's trying to sell his 8x10s and stuff like that. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of great promotions, a lot of great talent. And like the athletic commission hinders Virginia a little bit with what you can do, but for the most part, it also does help keep out some of like the goof promoters and stuff like that.
Okay, man. I mean, I think the word I use to describe Arkansas's pro wrestling scene is underrated because we have so much talent. We have a lot of talent here in the state. There are some really shit promotions that I'm not going to name names that I've seen that really just don't know how to don't know how to run a show, don't know how to have people come up and have like a
Yeah,
little
we had
meeting
that.
before the show to let you know what's going on. You just walk up and there's a piece of paper there that has like the match card on it. It's like, what,
Yeah,
what is that?
shit's misspelled. And,
You
right,
know?
like a piece of notebook paper, a hard napkin. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we have some promotions here like that in Virginia, man, and it's this one promotion that runs kind of near us, and I look at those guys like they're completely something different than me. They're just once, every couple months they get together and they play pro wrestling. None of these guys are serious. None of these guys are grinding like I am. On an average weekend, I'm doing 500-mile round trips on an average weekend, piling 5 of us in a 4-door sedan and driving 8 hours. I'm grinding because I want to try to get to that next level. I don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I don't want to be just working my hometown. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy that's, been doing this 20 years, still working the hometown. I want to go all over. I want to make money. I've gave my life to this business. I've gave my childhood to this business. I've gave both my ACLs to this business. I'm ready to, start making some money.
Definitely, man. Definitely. As far as your career has gone, man, what are some of the bigger moments in your career?
I'd say I got to work with the Rock and Roll Express a couple different times. I got to work with Ricky. I've got to work with Kerry Morton. When I was about 16, me and Adam Page were in the same promotion, the Square Circle Wrestling Alliance, and he was just getting his start as well. So we were there at the same time.
Wow.
I got to work with him some, back in the day. Doing the here recently, man, we took the Stone Age Boys to the National Cannabis Convention, and it was literally thousands of people there. It was crazy. Some of the biggest crowds I've ever wrestled in front of. I was in Hackettstown, New Jersey, a few months ago, and I'm just standing behind my gimmick table, and I'm in my trunks. I got my whole gimmick on or whatever, and Mick Foley was there. And he's signing autographs, and he starts the show, and he gets in the ring, and he's cutting this promo, and I actually have the video on my Facebook. He's cutting this promo, and he says, I've seen a lot of things in my life, but I've never seen anything quite like that. And he pointed at me, and he cut this little promo on me, or whatever, and that was really cool. It was, once in a lifetime opportunity there, and I fortunately was able to get it on video.
Yeah.
I also met Kerry Silkin that night. He came up. He owned Ring of Honor from 2002 to 2012, and he came up and talked to me a little bit. And he pulled me aside, and he was like, "Here, kid, take a picture with me and put it on your social media. It'll be good for you." And which I did, and it was great. I got a lot of interaction from it. So that was a really cool moment. When I met Rhett Titus when we were in DC, I'd done a little battle royal or whatever, and he was in the battle royal, and I come up to him, I turned him around, and I just started calling stuff, and we just worked for a little bit, and then he finally eliminated me. And when he got to the back, he came up and shook my hand, and he was like, you're pretty good little walk and talker. And just a compliment from a guy like that really means a lot to me, because he's worked with some of the best talent in the world, in the business. So just little things like that mean a lot to me.
Right on, man. Right on. I don't know what it's like to travel far like you've gone, man, all over the East Coast wrestling stuff. I'm sure you get different kind of crowds, man. And like you said, that Southern style probably works at all the crowds. But have you had to deal with any tougher crowds?
Yeah, anything up north is they're a lot, they're just waiting on you to mess up so they can chant you fucked up or whatever. They're just waiting on that shit. They are up north is definitely tougher. I've been at some bar shows though where they were drunk and the people were rowdy, and that's been scary because I get a lot of heat. I like to I like to get a lot of, I don't say push it, but I like to get a lot of heat, and that's really what my gimmick is based around, is me getting this heat. Because I'm a fat guy telling other people they're fat, that's just automatically heat. So one time here, just a few months ago, we were at a distillery in somewhere in North Carolina, and I didn't realize it till I came out, like just how drunk the fans were, man, and it was kind of scary. Over the summer, I was at this outdoor show, and it actually broke down into like a small riot or whatever for a couple seconds. That was pretty wild. So yeah, the crowds up north can be tougher, but I've definitely been in front of some rowdy ass southern crowds too. That you go to some of these little backwoods towns out here, man. These people still think it's a shoot. They do, man. I had some old man. I was in Clarksville, Virginia, like 2 weeks ago, and I had a 70-year-old man threaten to cut me. Like he fucking pulled his pocket knife out and everything, you know. And I thought, any normal person would be like, I need to stop whatever I'm doing and reevaluate my life choices. But in my mind, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm doing my job. All right, this is good.
Definitely, man. Definitely. That's the kind of heat you want to have at every show. You want to have the people come up to you being like, hey, come here. Then they got like a knife and they're trying to shank you through the freaking guardrails and stuff. You want that.
Yeah, I'm doing my job, man. Nobody gets heat like that anymore, man. Everybody's scared. It's when I got into the business in 2000. Right, yeah. See, guys don't do that anymore, man. I don't want to say the business has gotten soft, but it's gotten soft. The way we are now with the cancel culture and everything like that, it's a different world than when I broke in back in 06. It was there's just no, I don't know, it's just like a lack of like what I feel are real men in the business, real like the Harley Race type kind of guys.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Just these real tough men's. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody's fucking 120 pounds with biker shorts and kick pads on now that play fucking video games and watch it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like that's what that's what this business has become.
Definitely, man.
And so, which makes my life a lot easier, though. When a motherfucker like me comes along, it's not afraid of the old school heat and to do, do this real character-based gimmick, it makes my life a lot easier because there's not a bunch of other people out there doing it like it was years ago.
Living the gimmick, as it were.
Yeah, man, 24/7, man.
You go out in town and you're Gigolo Josh Valon.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, this blonde hair. You see this blonde hair, man? This shit don't come off. I'm stuck with this 24/7. So I stand out every fucking where I go. It's no, just when people notice me, I'm like 6'1", about 280 with this bleach blonde hair. Shit stands out.
I bet, man. I bet. I ask a lot of the wrestlers that come on, man, about the Attitude Era. I know that was a little before your time, but the Attitude, I'm sure you know a good amount about it either way, but it was the biggest moment in pro wrestling, the Attitude Era was the huge boom in the mid-90s to the late 90s or early 2000s. 2002, I think, was when the Ruthless Aggression Era started, something like that. I can't remember. But the Attitude Era was a huge time. It's whenever the DX stuff was happening, whenever the whole Kurt Angle just got into it, and then you got, I don't know, man. There's just so much awesome stuff that happened during the Attitude Era. A lot of people say that. But for me, you get this car crash stuff. It's just like, here you go. Mae Young's having Mark Henry's son, and it's a hand, or let's soak McMahon and The Rock with a beer truck. Okay, what's the follow up to that? He goes against Triple H. It doesn't make any sense. I think they had a lot of car crash, but not a lot of good storytelling, man. What is your thought on the Attitude Era?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think as a whole, it hurt the business in the long run. Because you that's been a thing in pro wrestling for years. It's called hot shotting. And when you know what I'm saying, it's kind of hard to follow that. When you do all that shit, you get so edgy that you can't follow it. And I think in the long run, it hurt the business as much, maybe even more than it really helped it. Because you look at the down period we had after that, it's just really starting to pick up again from that. And yeah, it is. And it's not like I like the edginess, and I try to be edgy and push it. as much as I possibly can, as much as I can get away with in today's society. But yeah, I think in the long run, it really hurt the business, and we're just now starting to recover from that. And once the Crash TV fad kind of went away, and Jerry Springer lost its popularity, and all, that all kind of went away, then you can't do that stuff anymore. You damn sure can't do it today.
Definitely not.
So I think as a total, as a fan, I like it, but being in the business, I feel like that it hurt us in the long
Man,
run.
I could see that for sure. You see how long, like you said, it's really just now starting to pick back up. I'd say over the past,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 years, somewhere in there, somewhere around 2015, 2016, from 2015 to 2018, somewhere in there, it started to pick back up slowly, slowly. And then you get to this year,
Yeah.
and we got the biggest boom from The Rock coming back, from Cody completing his story, from all of these awesome things that happened at Mania, and even a little bit before whenever Triple H took over. It took that many years, like 20-something years, just to get back to where people are like, it's wrestling instead of it's wrestling. You don't want you don't want the shoulder shrugs people or
It hurt
anything
the
like
business.
that.
Right, yeah, it hurts the business, and but like you said, it's starting to pick back up, and I can tell, like, I don't keep up with what's on TV or whatever, but I can tell by the crowds that we're getting at these indie shows that that it's starting to pick, because when it becomes popular in the mainstream again, then indie pro wrestling will do good too. It's like a trickle down effect, and I can tell,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, that things are getting better now by by how much merch I'm selling, by the houses.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Things are starting to pick back up.
Man, what is the largest crowd you performed in front of? Was it the cannabis one?
I would, yeah, it was the Cannabis Fest in DC. Probably it was. I mean, I don't know an exact number, but I mean it was probably close to 1,000
wow.
people. There, you know what I mean? It's an RFK campus or whatever, and some of the people are stopping and watching. A good majority of them are stopping and watching. People are passing through. But yeah, I was probably in front of but other than that, other than the Cannabis Fest, I've been in front of maybe 600-700 people. On an average indie show here in Virginia, we draw anywhere from maybe 150 to 200 people on a good night. So it just really depends. But yeah, the Cannabis Fest was probably the biggest crowd so far that I've been in front of.
Man, shoot, dude.
But they weren't the hottest crowd because they were outside. So it was outside, and they weren't really wrestling fans. So they weren't the high. Plus they had live commentary, which just fucking kills the crowd. But they weren't most people, but they definitely weren't the hottest. I've been in rooms with 150 people that had way more energy than that 1,000.
What was the
people.
most memorable match of your career, man?
I'd say so far it would. That's a good question. Probably so far for personal reasons right now would be the first match me and my partner Yabba Dabba Daddy did as the Stone Age Boys, was just a few weeks ago, and it was just at a little spot show at a skating rink in Bluefield, West Virginia. But we worked Amish country, which are our buddies. We travel with them. And that was our first time, like our first test run. We'd tagged together before, but I was just doing the Gigolo, and he was, so this was my first time in the caveman gimmick. And this is going to be a really good thing for me. But we've already got a bunch of dates booked, so it's really taken off. So I think right now that's probably my most memorable match, just for personal reasons.
Okay, right on, dude.
Yeah.
Man, like I said, man, I'm really thankful that you came on the show, man. It's not very often I get to talk to people outside of the state, so that's a freaking bonus for sure. And especially being another pro wrestler, it's so much easier to talk sometimes with people that I know more about what they're doing, not exactly where or how big or anything.
Right.
But very thankful, man. And going back to you're saying, the average crowds are like 150 people there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely 150. Yeah, on average,
Holy
150
cow, dude!
people.
The largest crowd I think I've performed in front of is like 50 to maybe 50 to 75 at most. You know.
Yeah, we have our biggest show of the year, Pure Pro Wrestling, my home promotion. Super Clash is this weekend, and we're gonna have Rhino there. But it's in my hometown of Rocky Mountain. It always draws good, so I feel like it's probably gonna draw at least 250. Um, the show I was on in Burlington, North Carolina last Sunday, it probably was 300 people there, every bit of it. So it just varies to where you're at. But yeah, we normally have pretty decent sized crowds here.
Man, I yeah I
Yeah, but we're running these rural areas
yeah
too, so
I
no competition. There's not a lot of competition.
I man I don't know what I'd do in front of that many people. I know my heart would be racing, dude, the whole time. It'd be like adrenaline rush, like go go go, but slow it down because you got a job to do. You know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, now I don't even. I've been doing it so long. I just go out. I don't even. You know what I mean? It doesn't even phase me at this point, whether it's 10 people or
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? I just go out there and I do my thing and have fun. I've gotten to the point now where I appreciate the smaller spot shows where I can kind of fuck off a little bit and don't have to be as serious and kind of have fun. Um, I have in June 8th and 9th, me and Yabba Dabba and Amish Country are going to be at the River City Wrestling Con, and that's going to be. I'm really excited about that. It's June 8th and 9th. I think they're going to have the Hardy Boys there. Sting's going to be there. Some of the biggest names in the business, are going to be there for this wrestling convention. It's going to be 2 days of matches, and we're wrestling both days. So that's really really exciting. I'm stoked
Dude,
for
I
that.
can imagine, man. What is your? This is another question I ask all the wrestlers that come on, man. What is your Mount Rushmore for wrestling? Like your all-time greatest Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
See, what is
Yeah,
it? Four people, five?
four
How
of
many
them.
people are on? I think four. All right. Um, this is gonna be
Uh-oh.
controversial right here. Rick Flair, definitely Rick Flair. Gorgeous George. Buddy Rose. That might not be that controversial. And shit, it's a close one. Probably Jerry
Oh
Lawler.
man. So not the normal names, man.
Yes,
Not the
yeah,
normal names. I mean, I could see definitely a Ric Flair in there for sure, but Jerry Lawler is not
yeah.
one you hear all the time. It is one you hear sometimes, but the other two names, not so much all the time names. What's the reasoning behind them?
I take that Cornette's got to be on there. Though. I take that back. Cornette's got to
Oh,
be on there somewhere. So I
he's
would probably
putting
drop
Corny
Lawler for
on there,
Cornette.
man. Jim Cornette, man.
Yeah,
Push
Cornette.
them
Yeah,
glasses up, carry the tennis racket. We got a controversial one here. Man.
yeah. I'm a huge. Jim Cornette's probably like I agree 100% with everything fucking Jim Cornette says, down to whether it's religion, politics, or pride. I agree with Jim Cornette
Right on,
100%.
man. Right on. So we got Jim Cornette, Ric Flair, Jerry Lawler, and who?
Yeah,
Buddy Rose. Yeah,
Buddy
okay.
Rose.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah,
Right on, dude. Those are all stellar picks for me. It's like because I was born in the '90s. It's like DDP, The Rock, probably AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. Those are all. Those are all
oh
my
yeah,
my
definitely.
top four, man. DDP was the everyman. He was the guy I could relate to because he's everyday dude wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt or a tank top, whatever. He's just out there in like hardware, man. He's
Yeah,
wearing like those knee pads you wear when you're fixing a roof and stuff,
right,
And he just looks like just
right.
an everyday dude. So I was like, that dude's awesome. Then The Rock's the best talker on the microphone, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think that's very controversial, but it is what it is. I feel like The Rock, he just tears people apart, or he used to. Now it's kind of like he's trying to figure his words out, but either way. Um, and then AJ
Right.
Styles and Randy Orton, two of the very best ever, in my opinion, man. they're elegant storytellers, and they both have kick-ass moves in the ring. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. See, my measure of success is about money. This is a business to me. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like work rate and stuff, like yeah, that's cool. But really, like how many tickets have you
yeah,
sold? You know what I'm saying? That's what I like. That's how I
I
measure
got you, man.
success.
Well, those are my favorites. That's why they're on my Mount Rushmore. They're the all-time greatest in my opinion. So,
Hell yeah.
um, so what do you got coming up, man? In the near future, you said a couple of things. What do you got coming up, and what's the stories going into this stuff?
So let's see. This Saturday we got Pure Pro Wrestling in Rocky Mount Super Clash. So right now I'm in the middle of a small feud with Wyatt Sutton and Bobby Birch. We've been kind of picking on Bobby Birch here for a couple of weeks, and he cost me a win last Saturday against Wyatt Sutton in Pelham, North Carolina. So I'm gonna be out for revenge this Saturday night in Rocky Mount. See what else we have. What are we going into? Where are we in May? Let's see, May 18th. The Stone Age Boys are going to be in Roxborough, North Carolina for. We're going to be down there. I think we're taking on the Pitbulls. This is going to be our first time there as the Stone Age Boys. And then coming up in June, I don't have my calendar right with me, but I have the Wrestling Con, River City Wrestling Con in June. Of course, we'll be the Stone Age Boys there. We're going to New England in October, November, I think. I'm booked every weekend. I'm somewhere every weekend. I like to try to do 2 shows a weekend, but I at least have one booking
Right
every
on,
weekend.
man.
I'm somewhere, every weekend.
Where can people find you online, dude?
So at Facebook at the Prehistoric Playboy Big Bones or Josh Valon. Valon's Valen. You can also contact the Stoned Age Boys page on Facebook or my partner Yabba Dabba Daddy on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Um, and I also have a TikTok too, which is like Josh Valon 420. So you can check me out there. If you're interested in booking me, you can reach out to me through Facebook. My email is valenbooking95, all one word, at gmail.com.
Right on, dude. Right on. Um, do you have anything you would like to say before we go into the ending segment to your opponents coming up?
Actually, so I left out one. This is a big match. I completely left this out, but I got Rhett Titus May 24th in Danville, Virginia. And Rhett Titus, it doesn't matter where you've been, who you've beat, or what you've done. All that flippy shit you guys do up north ain't gonna fly when you come down to Danville.
Right on, man.
None of it's gonna fly when you get in the ring with the Gigolo. You're gonna find out just who the real man is. That's May 24th, Danville, Virginia, Skate Town.
Right on, dude. Right on. Hell yeah. You know, normally we end the show with a thing that I've taken from a very famous wrestling podcaster with 3 infamous initials, CVV. He likes to do 3 things, just ask the guest 3 things that they're grateful for in this very moment. But I changed it up a little bit, and I let them know what I'm grateful for as well as they get the opportunity. My guests get the opportunity after I let them know. So for me, my things I'm grateful for, man, they don't change that much. You know, I'm very grateful for my support system. Like I have a beautiful fiance, a beautiful 13-year-old and 8-year-old daughter. I got awesome family and friends around me to help support me in anything that I want to try to do, whether it's a silly podcast or wrestling or whatever, you know. I'm very grateful for my support system. Number 2, you guys, man. I'm grateful for you guys, my guests, the people coming on the show, man, because if I'm being honest, dude, you don't have to be on here. I'm just some random dude that likes talking to people. So I appreciate the hell out of anybody who chooses to come on here. I'm very grateful for people that choose to come on the show. It means so much to me, and I'm like super grateful because I'm just some random dude. Like I said, anyway. And the third thing, man, is two different things that I kind of want to put into one. And the good Lord above and my health, because without the good Lord, I wouldn't be healthy. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do. There's a saying that without Him, everything's impossible, but with Him, nothing is impossible, and that's something that I fully believe. But also my health, and I'm not talking physical health. I'm talking mental health. I'm talking the ability to be able to get on here and not feel fear from, reaching out to people I have no clue about, people that I've never met, people I've never talked to, and having the courage to be able to talk to you guys and ask you any question that I want to and see if you're willing to come on the show. When a lot of people are too afraid to do even that, to even say hi to somebody. I'm very grateful that I have the ability the gift of gab to be able to talk to people, and the ability, the good health to be able to do this as well. So, Josh Valon, the Gigolo, what are three things you're grateful for in this moment?
In this moment, huh? It's definitely going to be I'm grateful to be a part of the professional wrestling business. I'm grateful for my health, and I'm grateful for my success.
Very good things to be grateful for, man, because shit, all that stuff's very important. So, definitely, man. Well, shoot,
Definitely.
dude. I appreciate the hell out of you coming on here, man. Maybe we can get you back on at a later point down the road, later on down the season, or if you got anything coming up and want to jump back on here at some point, just shoot me another message and we'll make it happen.
Awesome, buddy.
Hey, man, I
you having me.
appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, man.
It was a great episode. I mean, really, honestly, when you think about it, the guy has done so much. He's changed his look up, he's changed the act up, but he is still a professional wrestler, and he loves the art of storytelling. And in the end of the day, I mean, I think that's a very important part, and I've said it on a lot of different podcast episodes. Whenever I talk to pro wrestlers, the story is the most important part for wrestling, because without a story, we're not going to pay attention as a fan or anything. So, Josh, thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having the time out of your day to come on the show and just chill with me for an hour or so. It means so much, man. Thank you. This episode is over, but tomorrow's episode, guys. Tomorrow's episode is going to be very special for another reason. It's going to be different. Now, if you're watching it on YouTube, you're not going to see a video. You're going to see the episode art. But it's a 30-minute conversation with former WWE, TNA, and NWA superstar, the Pope, Elijah Burke. We sat down. I got to sit down and talk to him for 30 minutes, and it was a very awesome, fun conversation. I can't wait for you to hear it tomorrow. But as for this episode, guys, it's time for So Long. That's Blue's Clues word. But never forget to always listen when Adam talks. Guys, you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, whenever you're watching or listening to this. And we will see you very, very soon.